Hi everybody, welcome to the Evening Reader. My name is Priscilla. How are you doing out there? I'm here today to do a tag video. I was tagged by Angelia at Read and Reread to do the currently reading tag, and I'm so happy that she tagged me because I didn't have much else to talk about today. I was I'm doing a couple of buddy reads. I'm reading Demon Copperhead with Roz from Scally Dandling about the books and BookTube supporter Stephanie, and that's going really well. We've had our first week down. We completed it. I'm ready for week 2. We're reading 16 chapters a week, so I can't talk about that. And then I am also reading In the House in the Dark of the Woods by Laird Hunt with Jess. That's talking Kafka, and I'm about a little over halfway through that. And I know Jess was on vacation. If you didn't get to check out her vlog of her main trip, you should definitely go check that out. She stayed at the cutest Airbnb. Anyway, she was reading some other books during vacation, so I'm not sure where she is on that, but can't talk about that yet either. So, and then I'm slowly kind of getting into Fellowship Point by Alice Elliott Dark, but I'm just reading that before bed, and I think I'm not even quite 10% into that because I'm reading that on my Kindle app. So I don't have much to say about it yet, except I'm at 10% and I'm gonna keep going, so I guess that's a good sign. So anyway, tag. I'm here to do this tag, so let's just get to it. Well, by the way, yeah, I don't think we know who created this tag. So there's no link, but I'll definitely link to Angelia's video down below. So you can go watch hers if you haven't already seen her answers. Okay. First question is, how many books do you read at once? I like to read one book at a time, but obviously especially with BookTube, it's not really possible to just read one book at a time because of buddy reads, because of events, and just because, keeping up with the tubers, I guess I would call it. Because so many of you wow, you just really get a lot of books read, and I don't. No other way to say it. I just don't. So for me to even get above 5 books a month, which is usually my standard rate, and to get to like 7 or 8, I have to have 2 on the go, and I still don't think that I'm that fast. If I'm doing that, then usually I try to have books that are not similar, so I wouldn't be reading, like, say, 2 works of literary fiction or 2 works of nonfiction or 2 works of fantasy or something like that, or 2 mysteries. I would have like literary fiction or contemporary fiction, and then maybe some nonfiction or a mystery, or what have you. So I've got some variety and pacing and things there. And also that way I don't end up playing the comparison game, which is definitely one of the things that can kind of drive me more towards one book and less towards another. So there you go. And I think that does kind of lead into the second question, which is, if you read more than one book at a time, how do you decide to switch to reading the other book? And do you read a certain amount of pages of each book? And I'm a mood reader, so I just let the mood drive me. Obviously, though, if I'm reading a book for a buddy read or for an event, I may focus more on that than on just reading what I want to read, although that's not always true because I might stop and slip something in. But I don't worry. I don't ever worry about page count. I don't, unless I have to get to a certain place by a certain time, which is very rare. I mean, in the book, not like out in the world. I don't worry about how many pages I read a day. I don't set goals for myself. I don't really concern myself with that. Like back when I was reading Ninth Street Women, because it was such a chunkster, and it was also, sometimes I would just would start to feel repetitive, or, I don't know. I would just stop and read an entire book and then go back to it. So it kind of just depends on my mood, I guess. And the books involved. Yeah. Um, yeah. Number 3 is, do you ever switch bookmarks while you're partway through a book? No. No. I always use a bookmark, but I don't switch bookmarks partway through a book. Why would I do that? That's weird. That's kind of it's a weird question. I don't mean to be judgy, but why would you? Do you have like a, maybe, I guess, maybe if it makes you feel like you're making progress to switch a bookmark, like you get to the halfway point and you're like, yeah, now I'm going to use my halfway point bookmark. I don't know. But that's kind of weird. Yeah, I'm judgy. I'm just feeling judgy today. Okay. Number 4, where do you keep the book you're currently reading? I keep it usually over on the table by where I read. So I guess we'll go take a look. Let me see if I can switch this up so that we can go take a look. Okay, it's not gonna let me do that, so I'll be right back. Okay, so here is where I usually read. I probably should have fixed the pillows and made it look a little nicer, but I mean, this is what it usually looks like. And also, we've got some other interesting features. But this is where I usually sit and read. This is my Nook, if you will. And you can see my copy of Demon Copperhead here. I sit here, and this looks out the back of where we live. That is an indoor green garden that needs some tending, but we've got some pepper plants that are yielding up some peppers. We've got some habaneros coming in there. But yeah, we've got some replanting to do. Usually it's like herbs, little tomatoes and things. Our orchids, our neighbors like to buy orchids, and then when they don't have any flowers anymore, they put them out on the sidewalk, which I think I've explained is a thing people do here when they just want to get rid of stuff. And so we've gone down and gotten some orchids. These used to have flowers on them, and they've bloomed for us a couple of times, but now they're just growing like crazy and they're not really blooming. So, but that's not really the question, is it? I've got my coaster where I put my coffee in the morning. This is Smith's Old Bar. It's a picture of Smith's Old Bar in Atlanta. I've got my little, sorry. Yeah, okay. No motion picture here. Okay, yeah, I have it on my tripod, so I was stabbing myself with my tripod. I've got my little flags. I've got my little cross pen and pencil set that I've had forever that my grandfather gave me for my high school graduation that I still use. My reading glasses, my other pair of glasses, my notebook where I keep notes for my writing, my journal, my old tablet device that is it's very old. It doesn't even get updates anymore. And then my books. Well, I've just got the Barbara King Solver here right now. I'm not sure where the Laird Hunt book is. I think it might be over on my desk. And then the journal that I'm starting to try to use for my book journal. I'm trying to start keeping a book journal, so we'll see how that goes. I don't know if I'm going to be successful at that, but I'm going to give it a shot. So, oh, and the sassy really lends a sort of je ne sais quoi to the beautiful book cover there, the half-price sticker from Waterstones. I've got my book on Texas punk rock. What house doesn't have one of those? And then this is the rest of the room. There's my bag that I dropped off it has all my Dutch stuff in it for my Dutch class. It's a mess. And we don't just trash our house. These are technically cat toys that we have here. So no, I'm not just a slob who throws trash on the floor. Those are things that my cats like to play with. So okay, let's head back over to the desk. Okay, here we are, back at Filming Central, back at the news desk. I hope that you enjoyed that little outing and now you know why I just sit still and haven't tried to vlog yet because I think it might be a disaster. Anyway, okay, that was question number 4 about where I keep the book I'm reading. And okay, the next question, number 5, what time of day do you spend the most time reading? Morning. I do almost all of my reading in the morning before work. I get up, I usually write first, and then I will spend anywhere between a half an hour and an hour reading. I used to read a lot, damn that cough, before bed, but now I'm trying to do that again. I kind of got out of the habit, and but I do find it very relaxing. So I've been trying to read for 5 or 10 minutes before I go to sleep at night, and I'm for that I'm just reading. I just usually read on my phone, on my Kindle app on my phone. I don't take my big book upstairs. I just want something that's kind of light and that I can just read a few pages of at a time and don't really feel like I have to be really deep into it. So next is, how long do you typically read in one go? Well, I think they said usually a half hour to an hour, depending on the time I have and if the book's holding my interest or if I've got a lot to do that day or, just what have you. Sometimes I will read on weekends. Definitely when it starts to get colder and it starts to get darker. It's dark in the mornings and it's dark in the afternoons. I will probably I read more in the winter because of that. I don't know, there's just a feeling. But if I'm really, really into a book, I can read for 2 or 3 hours at a stretch. And yeah, maybe just get up to like get something to drink or go to the bathroom or whatever and not really notice it because I'm so into a book. But that doesn't happen all that often. But yeah, I've been known to just sit and get through an entire book. Next, let's see. 7, do you read hardcovers with the jacket on or off? On. I don't take the jacket off usually. Um, I don't really notice it, and sometimes I use the jacket as a bookmark. Some of you are probably like, oh, but yeah, sometimes I do. Um, but yeah, no, I just leave the jacket on. I don't worry about that. Number 8, which position do you mainly use to read? I guess that means like, do you sit or stand or lay down? I sit. I showed you where I sit. Um, I just sit with my back against that. Sometimes I do lay down on the couch and lay back and read. Prop myself up on some pillows and stretch out and read. But most of the time, I just put my feet on the ottoman and I sit in that corner so that I can see out the window and read. Let's see. Do you take the book you're reading everywhere you go? This is question number 9. No, if I'm reading a physical book, I don't take it. I leave it at home. But I almost always have something. I guess this kind of goes back to question number 1, or do you read more than one book at a time? I always have a book on my Kindle. Sometimes it's a book, sometimes it's just that I'll go in and like open up a favorite book that I have on my Kindle and I will read parts of that, like if I'm out and about and I want something to read or I need something to do while I'm out. So because I always have the Kindle on my phone or the Kindle app on my phone, I can always read. So I always consider that as taking a book with me. And I can always find something to read on that, you know. Um, so I guess technically I take a book with me everywhere I go, but not necessarily the physical book or the book that I'm reading at the time. And then finally, last question, number 10 is, how often do you update your progress on Goodreads? I update it once every couple of days, every 2 or 3 days. I'm trying to wean myself off of Goodreads. I mean, I don't want to wean myself off entirely. I don't think there's anything wrong with it, but I do think that Greg at Another Bibliophile Reads made a good point of, this is, if you're keeping all of your reading history in the cloud and you're keeping all your tracking in the cloud, and you're relying on a service like Goodreads to track everything that you read, oh, yeah, it's probably not great. You could lose it in an instant. They could shut down. Um, they could have a problem. Things can disappear. Um, I find that, like, yeah, sometimes I'm like, I know that I've read this book. I've marked this book as read. I even rated it, and I'll see it, and it's not there, and I'm like, well, that doesn't make any sense. I know that I marked it, but I don't know. So I have gotten into the habit now of exporting my Goodreads information so that I always have it. And then I showed you, the journal where I'm trying to start now, just keeping track in a physical journal. And I may just keep up that spreadsheet or something just so I can keep everything all together, um, and just always have access to my own data. Uh, but I'll still keep doing Goodreads. I mean, I'll keep it up as long as it's there. I don't do reviews. I don't write reviews for Goodreads. I usually either just give star ratings, and this year I haven't been doing star ratings since probably February. So I haven't decided if I'm gonna pick that back up again. But yeah. So I guess every 2 or 3 days, I like to check it. I like to see what's going on and see what people are reading. I've been on it for a long time. I used to use Library Thing, if any of you remember Library Thing, which I think was a better platform. It had a lot more features. It had a lot more information that you could fill in. The communities on there were pretty good back in the day. This was like 2009, 2010. But for some reason, it seemed like more people moved over to Goodreads, and it just got easier. Um, and so, yeah, I just kind of drifted that way and didn't ever go back. So that's it for me. I guess the last thing is to tag somebody. Oh, I think I've seen a lot of people doing this tag. So I will tag, but I'll tag some people. I will tag um, Bex at Sniffing the Sheets, and I will tag who else? I'll tag. I want to say I'll tag the Midnight Reader. She's new to me. I just found her channel through Aldi Books, and I really liked her channel. I don't know if she even does tag videos, but maybe she'll want to pick it up. So I'll go ahead and tag her as well. So, okay. Anyway, I hope that you're doing well. I hope that you have a good weekend, and I will see you next week. Take care out there, and thanks for sticking around and watching my video. Okay, bye.